Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall.
Hey, what's going on,
Michael
everybody?
Reed will be here shortly, but we are also joined by a special guest from across the pond, Burrows from the UK. How you doing, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me, guys. Pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Burrows is one of I would say, the Redskins ambassador for the NFL out there in the UK, and he's been representing us well. And the first thing I wanted to discuss with us today is the Chris Sims quarterback rankings, guys. We're going to break that down for you. We're going to talk about that. And then we have some little Redskins fun game that we're going to do. And I think that we should do a top 5 positional ranking for Redskins players in a certain time frame. It's going to be quite a stir to be raised there. And then we'll talk about fantasy to end the show. So, Hall, I'll go to you first. Chris Sims has Dwayne Haskins listed as 39th on that list of 40. What is your immediate reaction to that?
Well, the first reaction is that there's only 32 starting quarterbacks, so he's pretty much saying he's not a starting quarterback in the league. Which, in my opinion, I mean, obviously, warranted off of last year. I mean, I guess you could maybe say that, but to have him 39 out of 40 possible quarterbacks, I think is a little absurd. I mean, did he put like the incoming rookies in there, or is it just like backups included, or what?
Yeah, so he has Marcus Mariota on there. For example, let me pull that up for you real fast. So
Okay,
yeah,
because
he has
who's gonna put
Marcus.
the no,
So
go ahead. Because if you had incoming rookies ahead of their like Haskins, that's where I'd be like, whoa, 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 pump your brakes.
yeah, so
But I
what
mean,
what he has right now is he has Marcus Mariota at 29 and Case Keenum at 28. Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
understand. And Robert Griffin is at 36.
that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, like I said, based off of everyone, what Dwayne Haskins showed last year and the 7 starts that he had and the 9 total games, uh, I mean, I guess it's kind of warranted, but to say he's not a 30, like at least 31 of 32 or 31 of 40, I would definitely say he's a starting quarterback in this league. And I definitely think he'll go out and prove it starting week 1 this upcoming year.
I mean, I can understand why he's doing this because in my heart of hearts, I don't think he's being legit. I don't think this is for real. I think this is a big market, and he understands that. And so when you rile this base, you get a lot of attention on you. And during a downtime, I think that's what he's doing. I don't think anybody in their right mind would put out that Dwayne Haskins is behind Robert Griffin III or Marcus Mariota. I think that's actually laughable. I don't think that is truthful and whatsoever. I don't think Chris Sims believes it, and I don't agree with the list at all. What about you, Burrows? Do you think Sims has a point here?
No, I think it just comes back to a complete disrespect for the Redskins. Anything we do, for me, it should just fuel the fire. Go out and prove a point next season. Show everyone what you can do. If today doesn't motivate you to go out and prove a point, then nothing ever will. They've clearly just written him off already. They basically said that what everyone thinks of the Redskins, we're the bottom of most lists. You could compile any list, you'd probably find a Redskins player somewhere near the bottom.
Yeah.
So it just comes back to what we're saying off air. It's a disrespecting people. Anything to do with the Redskins, it would just be, any player you could name, wide receivers, anyone, running backs, anything. They'd put them right at the bottom of the list. So, give it 2 seasons, they'll probably try and put Chase Young at the bottom of some list.
It's funny, and it's funny, and it is true because this is something that Hall and I we work together, so we talk about this stuff all the time, venting about the Redskins always getting shafted on some list. And I made a point to talk about this a couple weeks ago where Pro Football Focus had put out that Trent Williams was on their all-time list for left tackle since they've been up and running. And what I said to Hall was, well, it took him to leave the Redskins for them to actually say something good about him. I know that they've said a lot about Trent Williams being on Pro Football Focus as one of the better left tackles in the league. But my point is, they never said any of this until he left. And I thought there was a reason for it. And look, we can all talk about conspiracy theories, but I just think that this is another example of the league using the Redskins fan base as a punching bag, using it as a ratings bonus. Hall, do you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I mean, we've had this conversation many a times watching the games together or any type of football event together. at some point in time, they're showing the highlights of like different like players and teams, like the start of an NFL game on Fox. They're showing the highlights and blah blah blah. At one point in time, you're always going to see the Redskins getting fried up on the screen. It's just like, it's like, why? You don't ever see like the Saints getting scored a touchdown on. You don't ever see the Patriots getting like a touchdown scored on. And I know, look, the last 20 years, we've been like kind of the bottom of the league. We've been the laughing stock, and Dan Snyder's like the laughing joke of the owners. But I mean, at some point, it's like we're a storied franchise, and I mean, we deserve to be respected. We're like I said, we're one of the cornerstone franchises, a storied franchise, and I mean, I just hope that Ron Rivera, and I think he will. He's going to put respect back on the Redskins' name, and I just can't wait to be laughing at all the haters in the upcoming future.
Yeah, and speaking of respect, Burrows, I want to go to you because I want to ask you a question. You being a Redskins fan, and over in the UK, we kind of elaborated on this earlier, but you being a Redskins fan in the UK, what is it like being a football fan in the UK, which is dominated by soccer? And I just have to ask, are you looked at kind of like the way that we look at soccer fans over here, almost as like a minority, almost has like a little brother type that's like, yeah, that's funny, it's funny. Is it like that for you out in the UK with football?
It's getting a lot better since obviously the NFL has been playing the games at Wembley season after season. Hey, Mike. Season after season, it's got a lot better. But yeah, I mean, around my circle of friends that are non-football fans, they don't get it. But because of what we're probably coming to later, because of the tweet team now, I've got so many UK-based Redskins fans.
Yeah.
That appreciate, and we can, it's just like you guys. We talk about it all day long. We're talking Haskins, we're talking Ron Rivera, we're talking Snyder. I think it's getting so much better. You're selling out Wembley Stadium for like 3 games in a row, 80,000 people.
Yeah.
In Wembley Stadium, and they're not just their fans because they're going along just to, they want to see what it's like. Every single person in that stadium pretty much understands the game. And they're not just, you're not throwing a ball and then someone's turning to the guy next to him going, can you explain this to me, please? I don't quite know what's going on. The knowledge has risen in the last. I started supporting the Redskins in '99, 2000, and back then, there were hardcore fans, but like you say, soccer is the big thing over there. But we're getting there, and it's I'm pleased to say that it's not where it was. And you only got to look at 5 games a year, 4 games a season over here. Proves how big the NFL is. Yeah,
and that was actually going to be my second question to you. Was like, it was really impressive to see the stadium be filled out the way that it was. Every game there. And it did seem like, I mean, like you said, it wasn't like guys just showing up in regular, like a button-up jacket or anything, or a zip-up jacket or anything. Like, they're out there in jerseys and stuff. And so it's really impressive to see. Now, was there a difference, like, with the field and the grass compared? Have you been to a Redskins game or an NFL game here?
Yeah, I went to the Eagles home opener a couple of seasons ago. Unfortunately, we lost. And I went to the Giants game on the coldest day of my life.
Were both of them at FedEx?
Yeah, both at FedEx, yeah.
You can't get worse field than FedEx, just in terms of the actual playing field. So I'm sorry that's what you had to see when you came here, is that turf. Watching people tear their ACLs. By the way, I know I just joined in. I had a bunch of stuff going on. I'm Mike. I'm also Mike. I'm Black Mike, some would say. So it's nice. It's nice to meet you, man. I don't know. I know I chimed in kind of late, so I'm not sure the questions you guys have asked and what you've answered. So I'll just let you guys continue and chime in as much as possible.
Well, before we progress any further, Reed, so what we already did is I'm not sure if you saw what came across social media today, but Chris Sims had his 40 quarterback rankings that he released today, and he had Dwayne Haskins listed at 39th. And so I went around the cube here and I asked them what their opinions were. So before we go any further, what do you think about Sims's ranking?
I understand it in a way. I mean, let's be real. To people who didn't watch Haskins every week and who didn't watch every snap, if you just look at his numbers, I understand why he had him there. However, his numbers can be a little bit misleading. If you take away that first Giants game where he came in relief of Case Keenum, he had 0 reps with the first team. He came in, he threw 4 interceptions. He looked horrible. After that game, from when he started, he had a 7-3 touchdown to interception ratio. I mean, he played very good. He got better each and every week as he got more comfortable and Kevin O'Connell adapted the offense to him. I think he should be higher. I think I couldn't name too many backup quarterbacks in the NFL that I would rank higher than him. So I don't understand 39, let alone 7 of them, you know? Yeah. So, but I think that he will. I kind of like it, man. I think that it's going to be fun when he surprises some people this year, and he could very well be. I mean, realistically, I think he could end up a top 20 quarterback this season, and I'm excited for it. That would be if our defense plays the way that we think it should, and the running game does. If Haskins is a top 20 quarterback this coming year, then I think that we will be set. But I understand where he's coming from. I get it, and I'm excited to hopefully prove him wrong.
Yeah, and look, I don't have a problem with Sims's list if this is last year.
Right.
That would make a lot of sense. There's a couple names here that doesn't make any sense to me. Josh Rosen, I like Jacoby Brissett a lot, but Jacoby Brissett is limited downfield. I do think Dwayne Haskins is better than Jacoby Brissett. Eli Manning, Robert Griffin, the only 2 quarterbacks behind him are Colt McCoy and Tyrod Taylor. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's a starting quarterback, most likely going to be a starting quarterback of the Chargers this year. And the whole point that we were trying to make, Reed, is that it just seems like, to me, usually Sims is on the Redskins side. When the national media guys are really piling on the Redskins, they're killing the Redskins, making fun of the Redskins, usually Sims is the level-headed, logical guy that says, I don't think the Redskins are going to be that bad. Usually he's that guy. For him to do this, I think he's trying to get ahead here, and I think he's trying to get clicks. And he's doing it for a big market. That is, obviously Dwayne Haskins is a big area of conversation right now for Redskins fans. Now, him having Case Keenum at 28 makes 0 sense to me.
When Case played in the beginning of last year, Case Keenum did play very well. He did.
That's my point. But in this year, I don't think that to be true.
Depends, it depends on his rankings. I mean, you're right. It doesn't make any sense, especially Josh Rosen. We're talking about somebody who was more than likely going to be a third-string quarterback on his team if he stays with the Dolphins.
Did you say Eli Manning was on the list?
Yeah, you said 34.
So if Eli was on, okay.
Eli's retired. Thing, then. Eli's retired. What?
And it doesn't. It also doesn't. Differing opinions on Pro Football Focus, but PFF actually has Dwayne Haskins in terms of everything. He was rated higher than Daniel Jones. He was the 2nd or 3rd highest rated rookie quarterback, and the amount of throws that he had to throw because his receivers were not creating separation and still completing it, his accuracy, he put some incredible balls out there, and he did some very good things. And I think as he grows, he'll start to get more recognition. Just didn't turn up in year 1 because of the stats, and he was thrust into the fire when he wasn't ready. But yeah, if Eli's on there, then it's got to be based on 2019.
Yeah, and look, I say it all the time. The Redskins always do better when they're considered to be terrible. I think last year was an anomaly. I will admit that. I did not think they were going to be that bad, but also we didn't think their left tackle was not going to show up to play football, which was our best player. Now, going back to you, Burrows, and the UK. I want to ask you, so to kind of tell everyone about yourself, because you represent the Redskins tweet team. You are over in the UK. You're one of the Redskins ambassadors. And so let me ask you, when did you become a fan of the Redskins? And was it a certain game? Was it a certain time? Please tell us a little bit about your Redskins fanship.
Started around 99, 2000. I got to spend some time in DC. Lucky enough, got to travel around a bit. And Brad Johnson was the quarterback.
Bitter beer face, Brad.
So yeah, Zorn was the head coach. I think we just started, and I chose Dan Snyder had literally just joined the team. So I'm thinking, wow, this is good. We got a new owner. This Brad Johnson is quarterback. He looks really good. I didn't know too much about the Redskins. We made the postseason. We beat the Lions. I'm thinking, this is brilliant.
I remember that, right? Yeah.
And like we were saying earlier, I've only in my Redskins fandom now only ever seen us win one home game, playoff game. Yeah. That was against the Lions, and that was the last time. But yeah, since then it's just been moving forward, and since the introduction of Maurice and the tweet team, it's just it's taken over really. I mean, the love for the Redskins is really, really strong. I've met so many people because of football, literally just because of football.
Yeah.
And so we communicate non-stop. Luckily enough, when a lot of the tweet team come over to London for the game against the Bengals. So I was their tour guide and showed them around London, and we spent a lot of time together. There was like 6 or 7 of them all coming over, and we all met up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Same night. when I went to the States, they looked after me, and and the love's grown from there. So yeah, it's really since Maurice set up the tweet team that such a good thing that he done.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Did the Redskins players pay their bar tab out in London?
Dan Snyder served me the first pint in the bar. He was behind the bar serving. Yeah, he was behind the bar serving pints. Chris Cooley was there.
Wait, Dan Snyder served you a beer?
Yes.
No way.
I will try and find the photo and send it to you.
Oh my god!
Dude, you need to hang that up somewhere, dude. That's
Hell
awesome.
yeah.
That is.
He was behind the bar serving all the Redskins fans. Cooley was there. Doc was there. All the TSN guys were there. We got to meet them, and it was a great weekend.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's in the end, and the game was tied.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so cool that Dan Snyder was. That's so cool that Snyder was serving you a beer, because over here I'm pretty sure he has a blood boy. Pretty sure he has a boy. I'm just kidding. But no, that's amazing. But yeah, I remember that London game. That was interesting, and I love how the NFL has really expanded over in London. I think that's awesome that they're getting huge, and like Kyle, I think I heard you say it earlier, the games over there are packed. Yeah. I mean, they really seem to love the NFL over there.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, when you watch the game live in London, you're expecting there to be delays for certain plays, like in fan reaction. So, like, if a quarterback is able to break the tackle and then be able to dive for the first down, for the home team, people immediately are like, "Whoa, awesome!" Like, that kind of fan reaction. When you watch a London game, you thought that there was going to be a delay because you thought that maybe people in the UK didn't really know what was happening. That wasn't the case. You guys were on it bit by bit, and that was one piece I was looking out for. So like you said, Burrows, I mean, it just goes to show the football intelligence that is over there in the UK, and it's very underestimated. And another thing, you're going to fit right in with us, Burrows, because if you started being a fan in 99 and 2000, that means you grew up depressed, just like we did every Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of that. Why are you supporting one of the worst teams in the NFL? I've got a lot of typical Patriots fans, and even the Giants fans can give me some stick because they've won a few Super Bowls since. I've seen them win like 2 Super Bowls in this. But yeah, I pretty much all I've known is pain as a Redskins fan. But I'm hopeful that's going to change from next season onwards.
We've already seen it change, and I think for a lot of Redskins fans, especially this offseason, the quarantine has kind of thrown us a little bit for a loop. But this offseason I've seen a change in Redskins fan energy that I've never seen before. And that directly is a correlation to Ron Rivera, the way that he runs the ship. Redskins fans, we were starving for this sort of leadership. That's what we thought Scott McCloughan was. When he came in, remember, it was "In Scott We Trust." Everything was about Scott getting the football operations, getting football guys, getting the meat and the potatoes. We were all bought in on that, and then slowly but surely, Bruce had to make sure that zit got popped. And so it's funny to think about it now, to where we've come as Redskins fans and how bitter things have been and how fast we have turned it around as a fan base with the energy. It just speaks, and the fact is that Twitter is up in riots because Chris Sims ranked Dwayne Haskins at 39 only speaks about the energy of this fan base, that we're eager for football.
Right. Yeah. This is the most excited I've seen Redskins fans since 2012 when we drafted RG3. Remember that offseason after we drafted RG3 and we traded up? Everybody was so pumped, and then, of course, during that season. But this is hopefully the start of something good. I think that we got the pieces in place. So I'm right there with you, man. I'm praying that we can kind of get out of this 20-year depression.
Do you think that the problem with that is just one man at the top?
Exactly. Right.
Why Dan Snyder's there? I have this conversation so many times with Redskins fans. We could go and get the best coach ever. We could go and drag John Madden back out, and we could get anyone back. And why Dan Snyder is at the helm of the Redskins? Ron Rivera is going to have to go some to.
Always going to have to be iffy. That's right. I mean, for Christ's sakes, we did bring back one of the greatest coaches of all time. We had Joe Gibbs. We had Joe Gibbs, and we screwed it up.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's funny because Hull and I have joked about before that we need to dress up Mike Reed in a wig and stuff and send him into Redskins Park and hopefully get Dan Snyder to say something racist or something and catch it on recording.
Hashtag me too.
Maybe
Hashtag
just
me
have
too.
another London game. I'm sure I could sort that out.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's do it. Hashtag me too. We can get him out of there so fast.
Hashtag Snyder roofied me, I swear.
Take pictures of him, send a picture of him serving you the pint, and be like, this is when it happened.
I'm underage.
Yeah.
That would be so terrible. So terrible. Never do that. Don't ever do that, please.
As we promote his team for free.
Right. But I did want to put this in here, everybody. Again, if you want to be a part of the Redskins tweet team, go and start a Twitter account. All you have to do is search hashtag Redskins tweet team. That's a huge fan base. We're a part of it. We'd love for more people to be involved. I know Burrows, like we've seen on your Twitter, you reaching out to people for us. Other Redskins fans in the UK, Burrows is out tagging us saying, hey, go listen to this podcast. If you go Redskins tweet team, you will not be disappointed. There's so many great people out there, and you'll have a lot of fun discussing football. Now, that being said, I wanted to do a little fun exercise. Did you guys think of anything fun to do tonight? Because I do have something.
What do you have?
I was thinking of doing a certain position breakdown of the top 5 Redskins at that position since a certain time period. And what I'm thinking is we should do a quarterback breakdown of Redskins quarterbacks from the year 2000.
I think from the year 2000 on?
Yeah.
Because how many are we going to have?
5. Because what I'm thinking is there's going to be a legit case for number 1. And I think that it could go 2 ways.
I mean, that's going to be kind of hard to come up with off the top. I could do it,
right? It is hard.
We're gonna have to think. I'm gonna have to think a little bit here.
Okay.
There could be a lot of what ifs in that one.
Well, here I'll start us off. I'll start us off here at number 5, and then I'll go to Reed next. So at my number 5, I'm gonna immediately go with the big lefty, Mark Burnell. He, as much as he was not here that much, he killed it for the Redskins. You're talking about the Monday Night Miracle with Santana Moss making the Redskins win 14-13 in primetime football. He brought some stability to this Redskins team, and I know that we haven't had that many Redskins quarterbacks and good ones over the years, but I think Mark Burnell does deserve a spot on this list. And I know Redskins fans, we love backup quarterbacks. I'll never forget that training camp of that year of Jason Campbell coming in as a rookie and being there and watching the fan base erupt every time Jason Campbell threw a pass when Mark Burnell was still the starter. It was terrible to see, but I think Mark Burnell does deserve to be on this list. What about you, Reed?
If we're talking about from 2000 onward, I would have Mark Burnell even higher than that personally.
Yeah.
So for me, at number 5, I'm going to go with, because there's not many good quarterbacks to choose from, but I'm going to go with old JC, old Jason Campbell.
Yeah.
People forget he did put together a couple solid years. He did. He was never anything spectacular. He was never the second coming of Doug Williams like people expected him to be. But he was solid for a short time. He ended up having a nice long career as a backup quarterback in the NFL. And yeah, so just off the top of my head, I mean, I can think of a few other people that I would put over him, and I'm sure that there's going to be some guys that I forget, but I'm going to put old Jason Campbell at number 5.
And poor Jason Campbell was shafted on this team because every single year he had a different offensive coordinator, and it made him not progress as a quarterback. And look, I had a lot of animosity towards Jason Campbell at the end of his career because it seemed like on third down we could never get a first down. If it was a third down, we might as well punt. I'll never forget. It was this one Cowboys game. It was like a 4:00 game, and Jason Campbell was like 3rd and 2, and Jason Campbell ran outside the pocket and ran for a first down. And yeah. I still remember that because it was such an anomaly. Like, I was like, oh, my God, we got first down. It sucks to say. But I just wanted to put that in there because JC, we did have a lot of good times at JC.
Well, and funny thing is, 10, 15 years later,
Yeah,
funny thing is, 10, 15 years later, we still can't convert on third down. So I don't really think it was all his fault.
You're absolutely right. So, Hall, well, who's your number 5? Do you agree with with Reed?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same as him. I got Jason Campbell at number 5. Like you just said, I always said I was never the biggest Campbell fan, but he was definitely serviceable at the time that we had him. That was the time where our defense was kind of like manhandling people, and they were like the strength of our team at that time. And like you said, different offensive coordinator every single year that he was here pretty much. He had a huge arm. He was a great college player, had a huge arm, had all the all the talent in the world to be a good or pretty good quarterback. It's just Redskins shafted him. So many coaches, OCs, personnel problems on offense. So, yeah, he was definitely serviceable, but could have been better. So he's my number 5.
Yeah, I like that. Look, that's a good spot for JC. As much as it is, but
he'll probably take that.
He deserves to be on this list. So Burrows at 5. Do you agree with him, or do you got somebody different?
I would probably agree. I mean, I felt so sorry for Campbell. The guy was pretty much learning a different playbook every 3 months.
Yeah.
There was different coaches coming in. The poor guy didn't know whether he was coming or going. And like you said earlier, the potential when he came into the team was pretty similar to when RG3 came into the team. Everyone's thinking, oh my God, this is a young kid. He could literally go places. And unfortunately, it never worked out with the Redskins curse, shall we say.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But this next guy, my number 4 is actually not, and that's going to be Dougie Williams, the first African-American quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
I thought you said since 2000.
Oh, my God. I did. And I completely,
Come on, Kyle.
I literally botched it. I literally botched the entire thing. I'm sorry.
We're meant to be running this show. Come on.
That was a test, and I failed.
You did. I'll move on to number 4.
No, it's okay.
I've got my list right here. Okay,
all right. So my number 4. Give me a second. Alex Smith. I got to go with Alex Smith. Look, it's only half a year, but if we're going to talk about quarterbacks and how good they were, Alex Smith had this team as a playoff team rolling until he got hurt, and now he's still helping the quarterbacks progress and get better in the QB rooms. I have to go with Alex Smith in number 4. So Reed, let's go to you.
Number 4, I had Alex Smith on there too. And how sad is that over the last 20 years, a top 5 quarterback for our franchise is somebody who only played 7, 8 games. But yeah, I mean, the way that he played, he didn't put up spectacular numbers, but he had us in position. And just in terms of talent and what he could do, he could have been higher had he stuck it out a little bit longer. So I'm going to go, it's off the top of my head, Alex Smith at number 4 as well.
That's a good one. Hall, you agree?
No, my number 4, I'd probably go with your number 5, which is Mark Brunell.
Yeah.
He had a little bit more highlights than Jason Campbell, I would say. Obviously, Brunell was the starter whenever Campbell came in. Like you said, the Monday Night Massacre, I still remember to a T those 2 plays at Santana Moss. Like they happened yesterday. One of the highlights of like the low Cowboy wins we have for the past 20 years. Did he get us to the playoffs?
Mark Brunell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did he? Or was that the year that he got hurt and Todd Collins came in and led us?
No. Wasn't the year before the year that Sean Taylor picked up the fumble return for the touchdown?
Yes. Yeah, but I think that was also the year that Todd Collins came in and led us to the playoffs.
The Todd Collins year was the year that Sean Taylor passed. He led us to the playoffs. Because remember because Todd Collins led us to the playoffs that year for the Sean Taylor job. The year before, Mark Brunell.
I don't remember us making the playoffs back to back.
Was the year before when we lost to Seattle?
We lost to Seattle twice because Todd Collins lost to Seattle too.
So maybe he did come in later on in the season then. Yeah, I think you're right. So he probably did for both.
Yeah, either way, he got us to the playoffs. So, I mean, that's a feat that not many quarterbacks over the past 20 years have done. So he's my number 4.
All right. So what about you, Burrows? What's your 4? Do you agree with Hall?
Brad Johnson, for pure excitement when I started watching the Redskins. I was thinking,
guy was a man.
This guy couldn't fail in his first season,
he was a Redskins fan growing up too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just remember watching him play. I thought his first season with us. I thought it was unbelievable.
He was amazing.
He was literally. I was thinking, well, I've chosen the team that are going to win the Super Bowl. It's little did I know I'm still waiting all these years later. But I will put Mr. Brad Johnson as my number 4.
And that's actually a really, really good one. I'll never forget that. My mom told me that year in 2000. She was like, "Yeah, Brad Johnson is a Redskins fan." He talked about. I think there was actually like one of those interviews he did with the local news that he talked about growing up a Redskins fan, how cool it was to be the Redskins quarterback. I'll always keep that with me. And then the year later, you're absolutely right, Burrows. A year later, he goes and leads the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a Super Bowl win. So that nobody's going to argue that he shouldn't be on that list. Now at number 3, I'm going to go with Todd Collins, the only quarterbacks in the year 2000 to actually win a playoff game. So I'm going with TC, baby. He led the Redskins to the playoffs in the lowest season that we've ever had here, and we won a playoff game doing it. I think Todd Collins deserves to be at number 3, just out of sheer respect.
Yeah, I love Todd Collins. That was such a magical run that he went on. But for my number 3, I'm going to go with somebody that people have already said. I'm going to go with Mark Brunell. I just remember the magic of Mark Brunell, that Monday Night Miracle against the Cowboys in the final 3 minutes. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. That's one of my favorite Redskins memories of all time. And he did put together a couple, about 2 or 3 solid seasons for us. I mean, he was never an outstanding quarterback with us like he was with Jacksonville, but he was a very solid quarterback, and he got the job done, even though he was older. Exactly. And that's he did his job, and I love that small, mobile lefty quarterback wearing number 8 out there, watching him run around, reminiscent of a poor man Steve Young.
Yeah, it's 100% true. That's exactly what he was. If you were going to compare him to anybody, he'd be Steve Young. But it's funny because, Mark Brunell was such a good bridge quarterback. He held together this franchise until Jason Campbell got drafted. If you think about it, he was the perfect quarterback for that. But it just seems like the Redskins as an organization, since Sonny Jurgensen, since Joe Theismann and Doug Williams, they have really struggled to be able to get a franchise quarterback in the building for years upon years, and it's really hard to be able to do that. So, Hall, what is your number 3?
I actually put number 3, Todd Collins.
Yeah.
Just because the simple fact that he won a playoff game for us. The only one that we won the past 20 years. So just like I said, not like huge statistical numbers,
right?
Not like a huge fan favorite. Everyone, once he got put into the game, I remember everyone was kind of just like, well, there goes our season. Like, we're done. But the magical run that we went on, like you said, playoff win, which I've only seen one in my whole, well, I guess I'm not even going to count when I was like younger because I don't really remember that. So my whole Redskins watching era, one playoff win. So, good old TC deserves to be number 3 on my list.
To make it even more depressing, I'm pretty sure the Redskins have like a record for that game because nobody has only gotten so many yardage and still won a playoff game. But didn't they not even have like 200 yards of offense that game?
I was going to say, I think it was like around like 150 range or something like that.
Yeah. So Sean Taylor got ejected.
For spitting on Michael Pittman. I remember that. All right. So number 3, Burrows. Do you agree with Hall?
I would say Brunell just because for the Monday Night Massacre. That was like 4:30 in the morning for me. I woke up the entire street watching that game. Literally woke up the entire street and never, thinking, well, this game's done, and then what happened? We know what happened. But again, I think he gave Redskins fans hope. I think he was someone that you're thinking, wow. The problem we have is that's the story that we could talk about quarterbacks, from now right up until last season. We're always having a quarterback that's going to give us hope. Haskins gives me hope.
Yeah.
Alex Smith gave me hope. RG3 gave me more than hope.
Yeah.
You're thinking, so he gave me hope. And again, it comes back to what we were saying earlier. These players, when they're at the Redskins, something, I don't know, they must put something in the water in DC. They leave and better things happen. Yeah. So for me, he'd be my pick.
Yeah, and that's a great way to put it too, Burrows. I agree with you. Now, my number 2, I have to go with Robert Griffin III. I think that 2012 season was magical. If he was able to stay healthy, he could be number 1 on my list here. But unfortunately, there was multiple years. I remember hearing Redskins fans complaining, you have to be able to give Robert Griffin help. Give him some weapons. Give him a good offensive line. The offensive line stinks. The year after, he leaves here. He goes to Cleveland. He gets sacked 1 time less than Kirk Cousins in 13 less games. So I don't think it was the offensive line's fault. I think it was your fault not being able to break down a defense with your eyes. So I think Robert Griffin III deserves a number 2. That 2012 season deserves to go up in the Hall of Fame. I don't know, just throw the whole season up there. It's just such a magical year just for Redskins fans. If you have to imagine, if we didn't have that 2012 year, what would we have? This franchise would be in the low of last year would have been even lower in my opinion.
It'd be Cleveland Browns almost.
Oh, if we didn't have 2012, I don't know if they'd even be able to fill the stadium with opposing fans. To be perfectly honest with you, if that didn't happen, RG3 gave this team life and energy and hope, like you said, Burrows, and it wasn't in short spurts at all with RG3. So he's my number 2. Reed, what about you? That rhymed.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to go RG3 number 2, just strictly based off of that 2012 season. He was so amazing that year. It was so fun to watch. Gave us all hope. Ended up winning 7 straight games. Got us to the playoffs. Of course, we lost against Seattle, and everything ended poorly. But just his fit in that offense, the way that the Shanahans crafted that around his skill set was so amazing. He had some throws that year that were just so beautiful to watch. Like his rope Santana Moss against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. He had another dime to Santana Moss against the Giants that was just perfectly over the shoulder. You couldn't throw it any better. And then that scramble around, throwing it to Logan Paulson for the first down that same game against the Giants. And then week 1 against the Saints, where he rolled around, rolled to his left, threw it all the way across the field to Fred Davis on the sideline. It was amazing watching him play. Of course, the 76-yard run against the Vikings, and it just sucks that he could never recapture the magic after that. And you really got to think that if his personality was different, maybe he could have gotten something done. Maybe if he could have adapted more to a pro-style offense, he could have continued to grow and been more of a pocket passer. But just that 2012 season alone, as sad as it is, based off of one season, that gets him the number 2 ranking for me.
Yeah, look, a lot of people are going to point fingers and say, "Oh, you don't like RJ3." Blah blah blah. No, the fact is that the reason
he's just not as good as number 1.
The reason why he's number 2 is simply put because he got Mike Shanahan fired, which got Kyle Shanahan fired, which got Matt LaFleur out the door. Luckily, we were able to retain Sean McVay. But you have to imagine, just by RG3's influence on Dan Snyder alone, could have completely ruined this franchise if we hadn't have kept Sean McVay. Imagine that offense without him. It wouldn't have clicked. And so it just goes to show that's why he's not number 1 for me, because some negative came with it. As much as we don't want to sit here and say it was for good reason, there's no reason why that talent, that head coaching talent, left this building. In my opinion, there's no excuse for it. Now, Hall, what is your number 2 is most likely the same, but let me hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we obviously all have the consensus number 2. Yeah. We're gonna have the consensus probably number 1 as well.
Yep.
But obviously RG3 number 2, like everyone just said. I'm not going to go too much into it, just the 2012 season.
Rex Grossman.
Sexy Rexy.
Sage Rosenfeld.
But, that 2012 season, just so many highlights. Reed went over a lot of them. I mean, at one point, there was a term called griffining when his first pass ever went to Pierre Garçon for the touchdown. Just magic. And as someone that was like literally, I watched RG3 in college, and I remember being in the bar, like slightly drunk, and I remember we made the trade to get to number 2, and I was just like literally running around hard times, just like losing my shit, dapping up all the Redskins fans that were in there because that was like the Redskins spot to go to back in the day. And it all just came crashing down with a crucial hit by Haloti Ngata, and it would never be the same. Well, it was never the same for him, and I don't think it will ever be the same as far as like magic and like the whole like he's gonna turn the franchise around type thing.
Yeah. Going
forward, and well, maybe if we get Trevor Lawrence next year, if Dwayne Haskins is asked. but yeah, I mean that's my number 2, and everyone knows who the number 1 is.
Yeah, and look, we're not here pointing fingers. Obviously, there's a reason. There's a lot more 10s in jersey sales out there than there is in 8s.
Oh yeah,
and there's a good reason for that. Now, Burrows, do you have the same list here at number 1 and 2?
I do. It pains me to say it, but I'd love to put RG3 up there at number 1. But again, he's another what if story. What if he didn't get injured? What if certain things have gone right? I genuinely believe I've had so many discussions and arguments with people. I genuinely think he could have been one of the greatest Redskins quarterbacks of all time.
Oh, without a doubt.
He gave you that I too remember when we got him. I was like, "You're kidding." This guy is like the next big thing, and it's a bit like now with Chase Young. Everyone's like, he's the next big thing, and he's gone to the Washington Redskins. He's given us. That's why I don't want to put too much pressure on Chase Young because we've all been here before. We've seen this with player after player that we've had, so I'm like, let this young fella just go and play. We've seen this with RG3. All right, injuries didn't help him, but the pressure on that guy's shoulders. And I'm RG3 number 2 all day long.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because it turned into a crazy argument between Redskins fans that were bashing the quarterback, even though we were top 5 in the league in yards, but then we're supposed to sit here and act like he's not a better quarterback. And that was the craziest I've ever seen the Redskins fan base. Literally, it was divided right down the middle, both sides yelling at each other.
It was a race thing. It came down to a race thing at one point.
I mean, dude, literally.
The argument still goes on today. 3 or 4 days ago, someone said to me, RG3 would still be a good quarterback for the Redskins. I'm like, this argument is still going on. They're like, he's still out there, he's still throwing a ball, and I'm like, no, we can't still have this argument in 2020 where RG3 could still be the Washington Redskins quarterback. But you've only got to type into Twitter search RG3 Redskins, and there will be someone today somewhere in the world having an argument that RG3 could still do a job for the Washington Redskins.
That's so true.
I believe it. Yeah.
You're not wrong about it. And I remember my good buddy Hizer. It was 2013, if I'm not mistaken, and he was telling me RG3 is terrible. We need to move on. Let's get away from him. And I'm sitting here thinking, dude, what are you talking about? We just went to the playoffs last year. He's going to be back. He's going to be great. It took a while for me to realize. But once I did, it was, you kind of had to have that realization in your head. You had to realize that this was more about the Redskins than it was about RG3. And it was really hard for people to make that disconnect. Because look, when you're happy, when you really like a player, you always want them to do well. You always want them playing for your team. But the fact is, there was some relationships that were crumbled because of that. And everyone's acting like the fans were the only ones that had a disdain for RG3. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Redskins linemen had a party, a cookout, and didn't invite RG3, and RG's wife ended up calling that player's wife angrily, why didn't you invite RG3? It's just crazy because it's like we're the ones that didn't like RG3 and we're insane for thinking it, it was some sort of disinformation campaign against RG3. It's insane to me.
Could you imagine Kirk wearing the Stepdad 5 tennis shoes out there on the grill, whipping up some fire brats for him? I guarantee you that's why he was invited to that barbecue. But no, obviously,
dude,
number one.
Mike Reed, let's be honest. Kirk Cousins did not get invited to any barbecue.
I guarantee he did. I'll put money on it. But Kirk's got to be number one, and you're right. I mean, he was just a better quarterback for a longer period of time than RG3. Had RG3 kept up that 2012 success, obviously it wouldn't even be a debate. But Kirk had some very good seasons for us. There's a reason he was a prize commodity as a free agent when he finally left here and went to Minnesota. But you're right, it was a big battle amongst Redskins fans. And once you made that jump, once you finally let go of the hope that you were holding on to with RG3, that he could still possibly regain this magical form in 2014, and you were like, come on, please, please. And then you just let go, and he just put it in Kirk's hand, and Kirk took over, and Kirk played fantastic. Yes, he didn't play the best in big games, but Kirk was still just a better quarterback. Just go back and look at the numbers. We're never a bad team with Kirk at the helm. Look, we were never a horrible team. We're middle of the road.
Yeah, and 2 weeks ago I said it. I thought that there was a little bit of alpha in Kirk Cousins. I always thought until he said that quote about being excited to play in front of no fans. I lost all respect for him at that point. There is no alpha in him. Look, at the time, the Redskins should have taken that $17 million per offer that he gave them. That is chump change for what he's getting paid right now. And look, I don't care. Look, he didn't show up in big games. He didn't. But the Redskins almost threw for 5,000 yards. What Redskins team can you think of? Hall, Burrows, Reed. What Redskins team can you think of where the quarterback literally carried them through the season?
The Brad Johnson year is the one time that they came close to putting up over 4,000 yards.
Right.
But they also had Stephen Davis. They're out but there hasn't been a time in the last 20 years when a quarterback is carried as hard as Kirk.
It all comes back to what ifs again. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the problem the Redskins have had over the years. What if RG3 did this? What if Alex Smith didn't get injured? What if Jason Campbell was the superstar that we all thought he was going to be?
Right.
What if my aunt had balls and she was my uncle? It's the same thing.
It's now 2020, and we're like, let's hope Haskins is this man. Let's hope Chase Young is this good. It's a Redskins thing. We've always had it. It's, we need to get away from that what if mentality, and now someone needs to grab the bull by the horn, so to speak, and let's just go and prove a point.
Yeah, and I think that's what Ron Rivera did by bringing in Kyle Allen, because everyone knows Dwayne Haskins is familiar with Snyder outside of football, and there is a connection there. So how does Ron Rivera combat that kind of leverage from Dan Snyder? He goes and gets Kyle Allen. So now Dwayne Haskins can't sit comfortably. He can't sit there and say, there's nobody on this team that they want to play quarterback. I got Snyder. Snyder has my back. Actually, the new man in town brought in his boy that he drafted last year. So you can't just chill out. And that's why Dwayne is out there working his ass off right now. So I think you're absolutely right, Burrows. That's why Rivera went and got Kyle Allen. So he wouldn't be able to have that stigma, that kind of conversation here. And look, I think this is Dwayne Haskins' team. He's worked hard this offseason. He's done everything needed, in my opinion, to showcase that he's a leader. Now, there's a lot more to football than just throwing around with no pads and no defenders. It's really easy to be able to do that. I could go throw in the backyard 30 times, and you'd be able to find 2 or 3 throws that I did that looked really cool.
And you would probably make our greatest Redskins quarterback list, top 5 list.
Might have to change my list pretty quick.
Yeah, you might sneak up to number 4 in that.
That's not right. That's not right. That's not right at all.
Well, that's the problem, though. Since, like you're saying, since 99, 2000, if we didn't have 2012, what would we have?
Yeah. Right. And do you understand how much it just pained me thinking about this top 5 list? And honest to God, considering putting Rex Grossman at number 5, do you have any idea what that just did to my spirit? Like, I just thought about it, and I was like, oh my God, no. Am I really debating putting him in the top 5 list of anything?
So when I botched the number 4 pick, that's where my mind went. that's right. I was like, I'll go with Alex Smith.
And then I was like, well, maybe Sage Rosenfels. No, wait, maybe Danny Warfel. No, wait, what? Maybe Tony Vance. No, God, no. Jason Campbell, 5.
Don't forget my man Shane Matthews.
Patrick Ramsey.
Alex Smith's even in there, Alex Smith.
Right, that's
half a season. The fact he's even
played
in there.
half a season, and Todd Collins stepped in for half a season, and they made our
list. How bad we've been since 2000. Right. And don't get me wrong, when we signed Alex Smith, it's like we'd signed a superstar.
Right.
I know he was getting. He's in his 30s now. He's getting on a bit, but you're like, wow, the Redskins have just signed Alex Smith.
He's a Pro Bowl quarterback. Right.
He's a Pro Bowl quarterback. He can literally pull strings. He will literally drag that. He will carry that team on his shoulders. And then, obviously, what happened. But
JJ Watt fell on his shoulders is what happened.
Play football ever again.
Yeah,
he tried to carry the team with his leg, and then it gave out from under him.
Looking at the documentary, I seriously think he thinks he can play again.
Oh,
I know. It's so amazing that he can honestly come back and do that. And I think it's so funny to just rub that in Joe Theismann's face if he takes a snap of it. Just be like, he came back. What'd you do, Joe?
Well,
what did you do?
Joe did come back.
Yeah, but
Joe. But you know what Joe said. What Joe
Monday Night Football booth.
Well, no. What Joe said when he came back is every time he went back for a snap, he literally was worried looking over his shoulder. And so he was like, no, I can't do this anymore.
Never the same after that.
Yeah, never the same. And that's the whole thing is that mental aspect and the fact that Alex, like Burrows is saying, actually wants to come back shows how much of a psycho he is.
And he's 100% serious too. Like you said, you could tell watching that. Like he wants to play again. Like he doesn't just want to come back and say, "Oh, I took a knee." Like he wants to come back and play football.
I mean,
that'd be such a Redskins thing to happen. Haskins will have a stinker of a season. Alex Smith will come back like some hero and riding off into the sunset carrying the Redskins on his back. That would be the most Redskins thing ever.
That would be.
That'd be like a movie. They can make a movie off of that.
Yeah.
They really
I would watch it.
I'm actually very disappointed none of you guys talked about John Beck. You listed a whole bunch of quarterbacks and you forgot the Beck man.
I don't consider Mormons people, let alone football players.
I didn't know he was Mormon.
BYU?
Yeah, he went on a Mormon mission.
Did he really?
That's why he started so late in his career. He was like 28 when he entered the NFL.
That's why everyone's going on Taysom Hill, because he went on a Mormon mission, then he went to BYU. And he got injured every single year at BYU. Now he's like, yeah, I'm going to be a starter when I'm like 31. What you mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. All right, everyone. Well, that's going to wrap up our show from us today. Burrows, I really appreciate you coming on, sir. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Welcome. Pleasure. Thank you.
I'm sorry everything was like all in shambles and everything all discombobulated. I apologize for that, but we will be having you on again. I really appreciate you coming on, and you did an incredible job. I know right now it's 6 o'clock, so it's 11 o'clock where you're at.
Nearly 11 o'clock, 11 p.m.
All right. Well, I'm sorry for keeping you up so late, Burrows.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me, guys. Pleasure.
Of course. All right, guys. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
I'm a disappointment to my father.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please go like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and iTunes. For iTunes, you can click on our profile and rate our podcast on there. That's how you can be able to review it and give us some better reviews to bump us up. All right, everyone.
Give us some feedback as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And remember, Redskins football. Woo!
Yeah.